I would like to introduce to you Harmony Huskinson from Victorious. She is a senior SEO specialist at Victorious. She's a writer at Search Engine Land, and she's won awards, the Best Local Campaign Award, and she is one of BrightLocal's Rising Stars of Local SEO 2023. So let's bring her on screen now.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. Well, I guess I'm not meeting you. I'm meeting Claire, but I'm not really meeting you all. Shake hands virtually.
It's like a real life meetup, really. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
Do you know what?
What?
I am super looking forward to your talk, hearing all about EEAT strategy for local SEO. So I'm going to be taking lots of notes. I'll probably have some questions, but can I just remind everyone to pop their questions in the chat so we can really get deep into Harmony's brain afterwards. What a great place to be. Here she goes. We'll hand the screen over to you for your presentation, Harmony. Thank you.
Awesome, Claire. Thank you. Internet issues. I hope everything there resolves. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Local SEO for Good. As Claire said, my name is Harmony Huskinson. I am a local SEO strategist I am a local SEO specialist with Victorious, a digital marketing agency, and we have a great 2 days of programming for you all to enjoy. There's some really great other speakers who are going to be sharing some really wonderful insights. The charity that I've selected for my talk is the Trevor Project. This is a really wonderful organization benefiting individuals who are LGBTQ experiencing mental health issues. Definitely look them up. Again, they're a really wonderful cause doing great things for people. And we have other great organizations, as Claire mentioned, throughout the next 2 days of our programming. So we'll go ahead and jump into my talk. My talk is developing your double EAT strategy for local SEO, or we could call it EEAT. I like to say double EAT, dealer's choice there, but this is an Among Us mystery. So let's dive in. What is Among Us? Among Us is an online video game that some of you may be familiar with from our shelter at home days when we didn't have a lot to do and we were kind of looking for something to engage with online. This is a game that you could play online with your friends. It's still around today, very popular. And in the game, essentially what you are is a crew member on a spaceship working with your friends to work through a variety of tasks. So you're assigned this list of tasks at the beginning of the game. You and your friends are kind of working through them around the spaceship. And then you might be working on a task, and in the middle of that, out of nowhere, boom, you get murdered. You're dead. That's the game. Sorry, it's not great, but that's kind of the point of the game, because several of your crew members were actually given the role of imposter at the beginning of the game, and you weren't aware of this, right? So you knew that maybe a couple of your crew members were these imposters, but you weren't sure who it was. And that's the game. It's a whodunit. It's a game where you're essentially figuring out which members of your crew are the imposters who are taking out the other crew members. And the crew members will win if they can get through all of their tasks and identify and kick out who the imposters are, whereas the imposters will win if they can take out all of the crew members. And in SEO, we can have a similar scenario happen where we'll be working through a variety of SEO tasks on a website, right? So we have a variety of things that we need to complete in SEO, but then again, out of nowhere, what might happen is our organic traffic might plummet. We might get impacted by an algorithm update, or something might just change with the algorithms, not even an update, and you just see this severe traffic loss. And double EAT is often one of the key factors to consider when we're experiencing a major change in our organic traffic. Double EAT isn't a murder. It's not exactly a murder, but it feels like that at times because our organic traffic can be so heavily impacted by it. Double EAT comes from a document produced by Google called the Search Quality Rater Guidelines. And what the search quality rater guidelines are is it's this long 200-page document that's publicly available online. Any of you can get access to this document and read through it, but it is very long, so you'd have to set aside some time to do that. And the purpose of this document is for training Google's search raters to overall assess the quality of a website. So these search raters will use EEAT as the core factors outlined in this document from Google to assess a website's overall quality. But I have one other note I need to make for you all around EEAT. The point of EEAT is that it is a rubric designed for raters to understand the quality of a website. It is not a ranking factor. It's not something like title tags or page speed where you can kind of like turn a dial, do a specific thing, and then get the rankings. This is a little bit more removed because the purpose of EEAT is it's a metric that these raters then use to rate a website. And then those ratings collectively all feed into Google's algorithm. So we're in this really kind of indirect or abstract space here with EEAT, where we know that it's Google's general interpretation of like what quality means with a website. But what it isn't is, one, it's not a murder, and two, it's not a ranking factor. But what does EEAT mean? EEAT stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So these are the core factors laid out in Google's search quality rater guidelines. And EEAT can be fairly unique to local SEO. We have specific environments in local SEO that are unique to these types of websites. We have obviously the local pack and Google Business Profile. So there are things with EEAT that we can look at specifically in local SEO to benefit our campaigns overall. So without further ado, let's get into each of the letters of EEAT and gain a better understanding of how these tactics within EEAT can benefit our SEO strategy as a whole in the local space. So the first letter is experience. And what I'm going to do with each of the letters in EEAT is pull out a quote directly from Google describing its search quality rater guidelines or directly from its search quality rater guidelines. This one is from a blog post when Google added experience as the newest letter to EEAT, kind of describing what its purpose is. And the quote reads, "There are some situations where really what you value most is content produced by someone who has firsthand life experience on the topic at hand." It's very important that we look at these quotes directly from Google when considering EEAT because it is such an abstract concept. We want to stick to the primary source material from Google as much as possible when evaluating these tactics because it can become incredibly removed and kind of extrapolated into all of this theory without any basis in reality. And since we're not talking about a ranking factor in the first place, as much of my tactics described here are rooted in these quotes that I pulled from Google and these search quality rater guidelines. So the things that stand out in this quote are firsthand and life experience. So experience is really about your tangible experience as a user. What Google is trying to get at with experience and what makes it so central to your local SEO strategy is that it is about how you interface as a person with a business. And what is more of an interfacing reality than local SEO, right? In local SEO, these local businesses are very often interfacing directly with people in their homes, in their cars. These are tangible experiences. Reviews are the starting point of that experience. Reviews directly reflect the experience of the user, and we all know that we can trust and rely on reviews as the starting point for looking at what other people's experiences were like so we can get a better understanding of our experience. They're also a known ranking factor on Google Business Profile. But I'm going to save more information about reviews for the end of this talk because there's another aspect of EEAT where reviews heavily factor. So moving forward, we have another scenario to consider here with experience. And these are 2 Google Business Profile posts. And on the left here, we have a post that has a stock photo of an air conditioner. And on the right, we have an HVAC technician who came into your home and was looking at this person's equipment for the nature of the post. And if you're a user, which of these Google profile posts from an HVAC company would you prefer? It's probably going to be the one with the real person, right? Most users are pretty savvy at this point and understand what a stock photo is. They're kind of going to see it and know exactly what it is. So if I'm a user thinking about choosing an HVAC provider, I'm probably going to prefer the one that has the real person in it because it's going to give me a better understanding of what my experience will be like when that person comes into my home. There was actually a really great study about this that came out of Sterling Sky from Joy Hawkins, where she looked at Google Business Profile posts, and she found that posts without stock photos got 5.6 times more clicks than posts with stock photos. So we also have some evidence that shows you receive more user interaction when your Google Business Profile posts include a real person or a real aspect of your business. Another thing to consider with experience is on your website, on the About page, you will see some local businesses have a list of their employees. And if I am looking for my HVAC provider, my booking email might say, hey, your HVAC technician is Isaiah. We look forward to seeing you on X date. And I'm going to want to know more about Isaiah. I might go on the website and want to research him, right? Or I might be looking for an HVAC provider and I might see that this company has a list of their employees and I might feel more comfortable working with that HVAC company. And then I can click through to Isaiah's picture and learn more about him in a specific bio on that website. This again indicates the experience of the user because the user is gaining an understanding ahead of time about who those employees are and who will be coming into their home. Users want to know about you. They want to know about your employees. We see this more often as a strategy and a tactic in the marketing space, even in different resources. So here we can see a search result that has a number of resources about writing a bio as a hairstylist. So more and more marketing companies are looking at this as a tactic to ensure that users are more comfortable and are receiving more information about your employees on your website. Local businesses, as I said before, they are tangible. Local businesses exist in a space that we interface with as people. And I think in the marketing world and the SEO world, we can forget about this. We can get removed from it because we're at our computers. We're on the internet. Claire was having internet issues earlier. That's tangible, but it's also not, right? It's an abstract space. Whereas in local business, they're coming into your home. They're working with your car. They're working with a part of your body. And that's why experience is so essential when building the overall quality of your website. Another example that we want to look at with experience is before and after photos on a website. Again, these reflect your experience as the user because it shows you a real life example of the work that you might receive to your home and that others have received. We can see a similar scenario actually again on Google Business Profile with the photos section. So businesses will upload photos and users can also upload photos of the business. And this reflects the user's experience. This business in particular uploaded a watermark reflecting that this was an after, this was real work that the business did. So this is one additional element on Google Business Profile that we can consider as an experience tactic. So next, we're going to talk about expertise. The quote that I want to pull for you all here is, consider the extent to which the content creator has the necessary knowledge or skill for the topic. So what does Google mean when it has this quote about expertise? The words that stand out here are content creator and topic. So these are clear indications that in order to understand the expertise provided by a website, we need to look at its content, even if we're a dog, maybe. Just kidding. Dogs can't read, but Google can, sort of, and the way that Google can understand the overall expertise of a business is by looking at its content. So I have a content scenario that I'd like you all to consider. I am looking for senior care services in my community. This is a sensitive situation, right? This is someone I love, who I'm looking for a care provider for, and I want to make sure that the business that I choose is experienced and is going to have the expertise necessary to care for my loved one. So we're going to look at two scenarios with content on these senior care services websites and talk a little bit about what content I might prefer as a user and what content might indicate overall quality. So, which would you choose? First, we have a paragraph of text on a location page that's kind of outlining, hello, we are this business, we are at this location, and we offer these senior care services. This is going to be kind of your standard layout for a location page, in my experience. When we work on location pages, we just sort of provide a generic description of our core keyword, which in this case would be senior care services. Or perhaps what I might prefer as a user is a page that is a list of local services available in that community. So these are services that are linked out from each of those services listed here, and you can click through and learn more about each individual service in that community. This showcases expertise at an individual level, because I, as a user, want senior care services, but I also want probably something very specific within that. I'm going to want someone who knows what they're talking about at this level of detail and not more general. Hello, we provide senior care services. Well, what does that mean? And what I'm getting at here is that most location pages kind of suck. They aren't great because location pages are this generic high-level space that just says we're at this location, and it doesn't get into the level of detail that many consumers expect to understand the business's overall expertise. Again, they're catering to that community. So this page is specifically about Parkinson's care from that previous example I was showing you, and it's a local service page. It gets into that level of detail necessary to showcase expertise. And a specific strategy that I worked with regarding local service pages resulted in a 213 year-over-year increase in clicks for those locations that received local service pages exclusively. So we know that adding that extra level of detail to showcase your expertise makes an impact on organic results overall. And it's also just that opportunity to get into that level of detail, because details matter. Spending those extra resources to make an impact and help the user understand exactly what they're signing up for is a level of detail that is increasingly going to be expected in the local SEO space. So we have one other scenario with content that I'd like you all to consider, and this is blogs. This is going to be a fairly common SEO tactic. We see blogs on most websites these days, but in the local SEO space, there are some tactics that we can leverage to make our blogs better. So first, I have an example of some things that we pretty commonly see on blogs, particularly in the SEO space. What we'll see happen most often is someone will use a keyword research tool and find, okay, this is a keyword that is commonly used. It's a great keyword to rank for. It's higher up in the funnel. I am going to write a post about that keyword. Maybe I'll have ChatGPT write it. Maybe I'll just kind of write a big block of text trying to target that keyword specifically. Maybe I'm just trying to get a featured snippet. They're just kind of the same generic SEO strategies used over and over again that we've all maybe seen for quite some time. Or maybe what we could consider, if I'm a user in the scenario wanting blog content, is something original. A blog post that wasn't just based on what a keyword tool had to say, but about something unique specifically to that community. And I have an example for you all of this. So here is an example of a blog post on a local realtor's website here in my hometown about a law called U+2. And U+2 is essentially this law that says each home can only have one single family in it here in my hometown. And it's fairly controversial. People are talking about this law, but it's not the kind of thing that you would see in a keyword research tool. It's specific to my community, and it's something that everybody is aware of here, but it's going to take some extra research from you to understand that these specific scenarios are happening in that community. This is like zero search volume keywords. This is something that we're talking about more and more in SEO. And in the local SEO space, it means researching that community specifically, understanding what the pain points are of that community, and creating the expertise. Be the person who creates the search volume, create the conversation, understand what's central to the conversation, and produce that content. Because if we're forward thinking, if we think about what the community wants before everyone else has written about it, then we are really showcasing our expertise with our content. So next, we are going to talk about authority, the third letter of WEAT. So the next quote I have for y'all to consider is, consider the extent to which the content creator or the website is known as a go-to source for the topic. So how does Google assess authority? How does Google understand what the authority of another website is? The words that really stand out to me here are is known as. This essentially is Google's interpretation of how do others recognize a website. And since the dawn of Google, one of its core approaches to understanding how websites are talking about other websites is links. Links are pivotal to any SEO strategy, right? So what are some of the types of local links that we can look at to leverage our overall authority with a local website? So the first example of local links that I'd like you all to consider are these data aggregators. These are these third-party websites. They're kind of similar to a phone book. They're also known as local citations. And a local business will submit basic information about itself to these websites, and they will then distribute that information across dozens of other websites. This essentially creates a network of information about that business's name, address, and phone number. But do these links offer authority? What are they really building beyond just the name, address, and phone number for a website? And the answer is not really, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're just saying, hey, I'm a business and I exist. I have a name, address, and a phone number. Yay, you are real, you exist. But that's not really authority in the sense that we're talking about here with websites quality and, being able to trust that business. So an example for you all to consider here of a more specific type of local link that builds authority is the citation website specific to its industry. So we can see that this HVAC company created a profile on an HVAC specific website called Air Conditioning Up. And there are lots of these websites out there available for industry specific local businesses to build profiles. And we actually have some really great data about how these more specific types of local links can make an impact on overall results. A talk coming up later today is a panel, and one of the speakers in that panel is Amanda Jordan. That's coming up at 4:30 Eastern Time, Smarter Competitor Analysis Tactics. And Amanda Jordan might, during that panel, I'm not sure, I can't guarantee, talk about a really great talk that she gave at MozCon earlier this year about how locally relevant links make more of an impact on businesses. And she found with her research that the businesses that invested in local links received a 38% increase in clicks year over year. So that's 38% increase in clicks year over year for those more specific local links. Whereas the businesses that only stuck with the more generic links only received a 14% increase in clicks year over year. So 38% versus 14%. We know that these more specifically focused local links make a difference. So another type of local link to consider is awards and community. And here in my community of Fort Collins, we have a great local restaurant called Music City Hot Chicken, and they are known for hosting really cool local events and fundraisers. And in this example here, we can see a local nonprofit that published a brief article about how the local restaurant is hosting this fundraiser. And in hosting these events that bring the community together, you're building your authority in that community. You're showing that you are a trusted part of that community and you are central to how that community functions. This builds your authority as a local business because it means that others are connecting with you. And this is a real place that really matters to the community at large. You're also getting links as a result of that. And then there are awards. Most communities have local news organizations that will annually publish a list of the best local providers of a service. And finding these news organizations can be as simple as Googling your community, your industry, and then awards. And this is as simple as getting recognized and understanding what those opportunities are. It's important to note here that recognition is earned. You earn that local recognition, you gain those local links, and you gain authority. What we're really looking at here with awards and with events is that these are things that you're putting extra effort into. You're putting effort into hosting great events. You're putting effort into being the best provider in your community, and then you're getting the links and therefore the authority. So the last type of authority with local links that we want to consider is knowledge sharing. This is a more commonly referenced type of link building in the SEO community in general. And it's essentially the idea that you publish really great content, you publish helpful content, and then you receive links as a result. So this is no different in the local SEO space. If we have an HVAC company or just another industry expert who publishes a piece of content helpful to their community, they can then receive links to that content because it is helpful, right? So here we can see that an HVAC community, because it produced that helpful content, then received a local backlink from a local news organization because that content was helpful. This is a local news organization that was publishing about an upcoming heat wave. And what this is it's PR, public relations. Public relations has been around since before SEO existed, but it is essential to the link building element of SEO because what many organizations will do is they'll publish great content, but they won't go through the extra effort of promoting that content, of getting recognition for that content. And public relations is, of course, a larger investment in a larger time-consuming tactic. But if you're showcasing and working so hard on creating great content, then it might be worth it to show a similar amount of effort to promote your content and make sure other organizations are aware that your local business has this great content. And then you build links and gain authority as a result. So lastly, we are going to talk about trust, the last letter of double EAT. So instead of a quote for you all, I have a graphic that is used directly in Google's search quality rater guidelines. And what Google has said about trust is that it's the most important letter in double EAT. It's the most pivotal part of any double EAT strategy. So the factors of trust impact all of the other factors of E, and A. Trust here, this is a Venn diagram, and it actively plays a role in everything that you're going to consider as a local user. Because if you can't trust a business, then why are you doing anything else in the first place, right? So we're back to reviews. Reviews are the core way of understanding whether you can trust a local business. They are pivotal to ensuring that users can go to your business and know that they will receive quality services. They're also a known ranking factor, as I mentioned earlier. We also have a study that shows how user demand and interest in reviews on Google Business Profile is growing specifically. So here in the study published earlier this year from BrightLocal, we can see that 87% of users rely on Google Business Profile reviews to evaluate a local business. 87%. That is a wildly large number. That is a lot of people who are going to Google Business Profile and looking at reviews on Google Business Profile to understand whether they can trust that business when working with them. And we can also see that this number is up quite a bit, even from just 2 years ago, from 63% to 87%. So this is rapidly growing and becoming more important as a point of reference in your overall local SEO strategy. But local reviews are more than Google Business Profile. There are other things to consider with reviews when you are a local business. And the example that I'd like you all to consider here is the search query, defense attorney near me. This is a keyword that pretty much every local attorney wants to rank for. If you've worked in local SEO with attorneys, this is a very commonly sought after ranking. But when we see the first 3 rankings in traditional search results outside of the local pack, we can see that the first 3 results aren't even direct providers of attorney services. They are these third-party review websites. So they're these websites where the attorneys can build a profile and get recognition on that website and get reviews on that website. So these third-party review websites are essential to your local SEO strategy because of 2 reasons. One, if you're not on these websites, then you're not in the first 3 search results, essentially, right? You're missing out on an opportunity to show up in what is very prominent. And 2, these results are prominent for a reason. These results are being shown by Google as the top results because Google is saying that this is trust is such an essential part of the user's buying decision that we want the providers of the service to be thoroughly vetted, not only by us, not only by Google Business Profile, but by these third-party websites as well. So taking the additional effort as an attorney or any business, whether it's in travel, in real estate, we see lots of industries with these third-party websites. Taking the initiative to show up on these websites is going to be essential to your double EAT strategy and your tactics as a whole. Now we're going to wrap up. We're going to look at all of the tactics of double EAT in local SEO and how they come together. So first, we're going to look at experience. What are the tactics within experience that we can consider as part of our double EAT strategy? So reviews on Google Business Profile, of course, they're important. Utilizing Google Business Profile posts that have a photo of a real person rather than just that generic stock photo. Bios on your website of your employees, and then encouraging customer photos or uploading photos to your Google Business Profile that directly showcase what that user's experience will be like. And then within expertise, the tactics that we can consider are local service pages, producing content on pages that are specific about your services rather than those more generic location pages, and then blog posts about something new or something unique to your community specifically. Within authority, we can consider local links that are specific to your industry, these citation websites that are specific to what type of services or products you provide, local events, building community with those events, getting recognition through local awards with local news organizations, and then producing content and promoting it with those local news organizations as well. Lastly, we can consider trust as the final piece of our double EAT strategy, and that's reviews. Those reviews on Google Business Profile and those reviews on those third-party websites. So that is how all of the tactics of double EAT come together to build a strategy for growing the overall quality of your website. And if you work through these tactics, if you work through these tasks in addition to your standard day-to-day SEO tasks, then you'll win. Then you'll grow your organic traffic and you'll have considered the overall quality of your business in addition to the standard day-to-day SEO tactics. But if you ignore these elements of quality around your business and the ways that it impacts the community, then what might happen is traffic loss. Back to scenario number 1, where you might get impacted by a Google algorithm update. And as a result, lose organic traffic, and you'll have to go through your laundry list of double EAT tactics and SEO tactics to kind of figure out what element of double EAT is really behind this organic traffic loss for me, right? We can use double EAT as a tool to understand what is missing with our business beyond those standard SEO tactics? So that has been my talk about developing your double EAT strategy for local SEO. Again, my name is Harmony Huskinson. I am so grateful to BrightLocal for putting on this wonderful event. Do go to that GoFundMe link and donate if you can, because we, again, have some really wonderful organizations. And thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it, even though you were ejected, because that's how the game ends. It's all fun. Hi.
Harmony, if I had a hat on, I would take it off to you, because that was absolutely amazing. So full. So I love examples, top tips. I learned that WEAT is how I say things. I loved it. Thank you. And I'm sure that everyone did too. We've only got 10 minutes for questions, and there are quite a few. So I think we're going to go straight into them. But just a big I love you and you're the best. And thank you very much. Let's go.
Thank you. Yay. Okay. Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Cool. So we have got, how about big brands with 1,500 plus locations? How to go about the production of local content in regards to WEAT? How?
Yes.
Yes.
No, this is a great question. This is something that I have experienced in my day-to-day work. And it is a similar strategy to other parts of your SEO strategy, and it is a matter of prioritization. So just because you have 1,500 locations doesn't necessarily mean that everything needs to be produced the same exact way for every location. What we can do is we can develop a strategy that's sort of parsed out depending on specific elements of community, kind of based on demand. So typically what I do in these scenarios is I identify the higher population communities, the more competitive communities that are going to have, just as a default, more local competitors, more businesses kind of operating in that city, because those are already going to be more competitive and difficult to leverage organic traffic growth for. So putting more effort and strategy and these types of tactics into those specific communities that are like larger is going to have more impact, because those communities are already harder to rank in. And that is where you can put in that additional level of effort and research. So it's really a matter of, it doesn't mean that those first communities that you started with are the only communities that you'll work with, but they are the most impactful to start with, and you have to start somewhere, right? Again, this is a difficult strategy to sort of like replicate at scale, but I think that's the point. I think the point here that we're trying to get at with quality is that what's happening in that community specifically matters, and that's what we need to achieve, but we don't have a million hours, so we have to start somewhere.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And another question. Do you recommend outreach campaigns to get informational content picked up by local publications?
Great question. I do. I've worked with off-page SEO teams to specifically promote local content and get those local publications to reference and achieve links for that content on the website. So outreach campaigns are an excellent tactic, and I think, as maybe the question asker knows, they can really vary kind of based on how you want to approach. I think outreach is already a really big term that can mean a lot of things. So outreach and local could be maybe its own talk, and we won't get into that, but short answer is yes.
Brilliant. Perfect. And the next question, please. We have got a question about city pages. Do they have to be completely different from each other, word for word and picture by picture, or is it just needing to mention the city and the specific FAQ enough?
I think that the more different you can make them, the more impactful that you can be. But my strategy with local SEO is kind of that it depends space. Like the level of effort and resourcing that you have to put into like a location can really change based on the specific like needs and tactics within that community, depending on how competitive it is. So if you're in a city like New York City and there are like 100 other businesses, having the exact same content as all of your other locations is probably not going to cut it. But if you're in like a tiny town in like Kansas, I don't know how, as much of a difference as it's going to make. And ideally everywhere would kind of get that star treatment and that unique content. But then there's also just like the reality of what we're trying to achieve here in SEO and that prioritization.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And another question. Oh, I agree. Mark is very insightful. Thank you, Harmony. In your experience, is there any industry, I don't know whether Marcus is saying the ones that you gave the examples of the EAT tactics, or anything where it isn't as important, perhaps?
So a little bit, and where that would be is almost like it's still WAT, but these tactics that I described, if you're in a really niche industry, so something where like you're the only person in town providing that service, you're sort of already the expert and you don't need to like prove it. Like you don't need to produce all the content and get all of the links because you're like already the guy. Like in Arizona where I used to live, we had a person who repaired typewriters. And I don't know if the person who repairing typewriters like would need to do everything I described, because they're the only person who repairs typewriters. And so everybody already goes to them. So yeah, the industry where this maybe doesn't work or isn't as impactful is like where it's sort of like you already achieved it by existing. But in any industry that's more competitive and has a lot of noise and a lot of people providing it, that's where this is going to make an impact.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Melissa asks, should you do service pages for each area you serve, or just the service targeting the different areas served?
I'm trying to understand the question. Just the service targeting the... Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. So I think it might be one of those, Melissa, sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but is there a sweet spot where we tip from going, let's just have one service page, but it's optimized for all my areas, to the next bit, which is just like, I can't optimize for all my areas using this page. Have I got to then go into a area specific service level page? I'm wondering if there's a sweet spot where there is a tip.
Great. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Claire. I appreciate it. And so it's, when I was talking in the talk, I was talking about local service pages that are catered to an individual community. So it would be like Phoenix air conditioning services, and then also Phoenix furnace services. And then you might also have, in Phoenix, there's a suburb called Mesa air conditioning services, and then Mesa furnace services. So you're having both individual locations and individual services, and the level of detail required for both services and locations, unfortunately, it kind of like does depend on like, is that location, does it have enough population to warrant building a page out? And then is that service popular enough to build a page specific to that location? So like, I did end up building out a page just about boiler repair that didn't work because boiler repair was like too specific of a service and not enough people have boilers to warrant a local service page. But a page about AC repair was large enough and impactful enough to make a difference and need a local service page. So sorry that answer is like so complex, but I think that's the nature of our work, that looking at the details and like what the need is kind of where a lot of the effort and strategy comes in.
Yeah, and the testing to see what works. That's awesome. Thank you so much. We've got time for one more question, but I know that there are loads of questions, but we've just got time for one more. Okay, so for businesses that provide services where the customer would prefer to remain anonymous, how do you suggest acquiring Google reviews?
Ooh, that is a really tough question. And I think that it is still a challenge that these like third-party review websites are trying to face as well, because you're right, not everybody wants to talk about the services they received, and it is a challenge. And I would think it's sort of similar to like doctor and medical websites. Like where I would look to research your question is on doctor review websites. What are people doing when they review their doctor, and how have those like doctor websites handled reviewing a medical provider? Because I think they're at the forefront of those types of scenarios with like HIPAA and like local patient privacy laws. So to answer your question, where I would start is looking in the medical field and seeing how they're handling that. I know that's not a direct answer, but I'm just kind of telling you what my starting point would be to like explore that strategy.
I think that's an excellent answer. Thank you very much. Now,
Yeah.
sadly, it is time to say goodbye to you, Harmony.
Aw, well, I mean, I really enjoyed talking to you all. I'm on LinkedIn more than X, Twitter these days. Do look me up. Again, my name is Harmony Huskinson. I'll try to post some more of these resources. I know this was a lot of information for y'all. So again, find me online and enjoy the conference, y'all.
You were brilliant. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes.
Thanks.
And I'm fundraising for the Charter Project. Should have mentioned that. Very important. But again, I'm so grateful.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank
bye,
you.
bye.